In today's video, I'll be profiling Mercedes-Benz driver Valtteri Bottas. Today, I'm profiling Valtteri Bottas, the 30-year-old Finn who heralds from Nastola, but at the moment lives in this particular marvellous place, Monaco, along with 15 other F1 drivers. That's 16 of the 20 drivers who live in Monaco. He drives the number 77 car for Mercedes-Benz. You can tell Valtteri's car because it's got a couple of distinguishing features. Obviously the number 77 back here, 77 on the front, his helmet, and this fluoro yellow top piece. That's the second car of every team. He is married to Amelia Bottas, who is an Olympic swimmer. Did you know that? She's in fact competed in 3 Olympics as a butterfly specialist. They got married going back a couple of years now to 11th of September 2016. I've seen them a few times at the races together. Amelia doesn't get to that many. A great shot here. Quite proud of this one, of Amelia giving Valtteri a congratulatory kiss after he managed to secure pole position in the Spanish GP earlier this year. I could see them coming together and I thought, right, I'm going to position myself because hopefully there's some sort of interaction between the two of them, and there was. They love the cold climate. Obviously coming from Finland, you have to. Recently they got themselves a dog. This is Fanny, which is a female name in Finn. And the pair of them have this beautiful animal, and obviously it's a Dalmatian, which sheds a lot of hair, so if you've got a couch, it's going to be covered in Dalmatian hair. Here he is with the young pup and a cat that he has had since he was 12 years of age. It recently passed away. I didn't think I had a photo of Valtteri's dad, but it turns out I did, because during the last race, and I'm recording this just after the US GP, his dad Rano is in the back here wearing the black cap and the black shirt, and his mother is Marianne, a photo of the pair taken at one of the races. If you ever get to his hometown of Nastola, you probably want to go to this particular kiosk, because when you do, you'll find on the menu they have a Bottas burger. For €7.70, you'll get this particular burger, and this business has been a long-time sponsor of Valtteri. They supported him through his earlier years, throwing in some cash to get his career started. On the topic of food, if you hark back to the Australian Grand Prix earlier this year, he was asked after his win what he had for breakfast this morning, and he mentioned porridge. Now, there's a story behind this because he does like porridge, but going back to when he was 5 years of age, he went karting. He was 5, his feet didn't reach the pedals, he wasn't allowed to drive. So his grandfather said to him, if you eat porridge every day, by the time you've finished winter, summer comes along, or spring, you'll be out here and your feet will reach the pedals. And sure enough, he ate porridge every day. He was big enough to drive that kart the next time they went out. So he's got a fondness for porridge. So let's have a look at how he's gone win-wise. Remember, he came from Williams, where he ran for them between 2013 and 2016. In 2017, he drove for Mercedes-Benz and he had his first win, and this is him at the press conference afterwards, in Russia. That was win number 1. And there's not too many people that get to share the stage with Vladimir Putin, as Valtteri did here. His next win came in Austria that same year, and his third and final win for the year was in the final race at Abu Dhabi. Now, 2018, shocker of a year for the man, never had a win, and that forced him to have to dig deep, as these Finns are pretty resilient. They have to be with the weather in their home country. He bounced back, had his first win at the Australian GP this year, where he's pretty darn happy about it. He had his second win in Azerbaijan. His third win came in Japan, and his fourth win recently at the United States GP. So he's had a much better year this year than past years. What I do notice about Valtteri is when he's on the podium and he gets his champagne to spray, he doesn't typically spray first up, he has a big gulp of it. I think because he feels, hey, he's deserved a drink, he's won that race, let's get it down the gullet. Oh, and by the way, did you realise he has served in the Finnish army, as all males have to do in that country? He achieved the rank of Lance Corporal, from memory. Here he is with a chap that you'll see him often with at the track. This is his trainer, Antti Furulla. He is a fellow Finn, and the pair spend a lot of time together. A shot taken here in the paddock at Paul Ricard's circuit. Occasionally I catch them jogging, not very often, but this was in Baku. You'll often see Antti at his side on the track prior to the start of the race, where he hands him whatever he needs, and mostly it's going to be balaclavas, gloves, helmets, that sort of thing. I've noticed a couple of times that Valtteri's been very careful with his hygiene. He'd been out mixing with some fans and signing autographs, and as he came back into the paddock, Antti handed him some antiseptic gel, cleaned his hands, and that was pretty wise going, because in that particular Mexican GP, a lot of the guys and girls in the paddock were struck down with a stomach virus, and it laid low a good number of people, so it pays to be careful in that respect. The other gentleman you'll see him alongside of on race weekends is his press officer Felix Sigerman, a German, very similar personalities. In fact, both Felix and Antti, very calm sort of guys, level-headed, and I think that's very much in line with Valtteri. Here's a shot taken of the pair in the Bahrain paddock, which I've always said before is one of the best paddocks on the circuit. Here's Valtteri in 2018 without the beard, looking very boyish. Here he is with the beard in Monaco this year. Another thing you'll find, and I don't know whether you've noticed it, but I noticed very early on, is, see here, these little Finnish flags on his visor tear-offs. He's got them on his helmets every time, and quite noticeable. He's obviously pulled them off here because he's coming back through the paddock after he's had to walk back from the Singapore GP. Now, you don't often see Valtteri in his helmet and hands device unless he's getting into the car or getting out of the car in the garage, but that was the case here in Singapore. His shoes are blue and white, as per the Finnish flag. He has his name on them, as you can see. One of the things I do like about Valtteri is when he goes into the garage, and I can only vouch for the times that I'm in there, which is normally FP3, he goes and shakes all of his team's hands. And it's a really warm sort of thing. He appreciates the work they do for him. I've not seen too many other drivers do it, not to say that they don't, but it's something I've noticed every time with Valtteri. Here's a shot that I love of the Finnish driver. Now, the only time I can get this shot, this is taken in Brazil as the cars come up the hill into the pit lane. I can only get this shot on race day just prior to the cars heading onto the grid, because to get access to the pit wall is impossible for me. There's really only 6 guys that get access to that during a session, but when the cars are doing their laps before going onto the grid, we have the opportunity to put the flags above, and this is called a crest shot, where you can actually see underneath the car. I have photographed Valtteri in one particular instant, and it's not something I'm sure he looks back fondly on, but in Melbourne in 2018, qualifying, he's got off the track at turn 2 and he's ended up into the wall on the exit of turn 2, spinning around. He's done a fair bit of damage there, would have been very disappointed, and ended up stationary in the middle of the track, having to get out and walk back. Here he is getting on a boat. A lot of the guys, in fact probably all of the F1 drivers, have to do corporate appearances probably on a Saturday or Sunday. Normally it's done in the paddock. Here he is getting onto one of the boats to do a speech in front of some people. This was actually on Mika Häkkinen's boat during the 2018 Monaco GP. He's wearing an IWC watch. Now, IWC is a sponsor of Mercedes, but I've only ever seen him with one watch on, and it's this particular big pilot's watch. If you're a watch person, you'll know that watch. It's quite iconic. Whereas someone like Lewis might have 5 or 6 different watches and he'll rotate them. This is the one that I see as Valtteri's go-to timepiece. See what he's holding here in his right hand? That is his coffee cup. Now, I can tell you that he is an avid drinker of coffee. You might have seen him on the telecast coming down from the motorhome holding a cup of coffee. He drinks a short black espresso, no sugar, and I guess it tends to pump him up for a session. And he always has it prior to each session, and I often capture him with it in his hand heading over there. He doesn't mind an ice cream either, as you can see here. And he chews bubblegum. An interesting thing I have noted is before he gets into the car on a race day, Antti will hand him one of these things which he squeezes into his mouth. Now, I can only guess that's some sort of energy syrup, gel or whatever, but I do notice he does take it prior to the start of every race. Let's go back to earlier this year to the China paddock. I was pretty much on my own. He came in early and I thought, right, let's get a shot from low down. So I virtually have to get the camera on the ground. The best way to do that is to lie down, not very pretty to look at, but I lie on the ground. He walks towards me. Now, in this particular instance, I thought he'd walk towards me and then probably just scoot around me. He didn't. He walked straight towards me and then over me, which took me by great surprise. He had a wry smile on his face. It wasn't like he was outwardly laughing, but he is a bit of a prankster, and I was quite surprised that that's the way he chose to react to me on the ground. Here he is with a big smile on his face taking videos of the waiting media, which is something that Lewis often does, primarily when he manages to fool us, and he tends to like shooting us. But here's Valtteri doing the same thing. A funny shot with his tongue out, looking cool with the beard, eye-to-eye contact going back to the Chinese GP. And in the Monaco pit lane, where he has a helmet, and that's his motorbike. He rides a bike in like Lewis does and a couple of others, because it's often easier to navigate the traffic on a bike than it is to do it in a car. A funny hat on. Here's a story. This is Jasmine Frost. Her son is an up-and-coming racer, Daniel. And I caught the two of them getting their photos taken here. I think she was doing a selfie at some point. And I said to Jasmine, I said, look, I've got this cushion with Valtteri's face on it. Can I get it? And you do a photo with him. And she said, yeah, but how are we going to get him out? So I went and got this cushion. She got his attention with it. He came out and thought it was a bit of a laugh. And in the end, I think we actually gave that cushion to him. God knows what's happened to it. But yeah, I got the photo I wanted. See the fellow on the right? This is Paul Ripka. He does a lot of photography work for Mercedes-Benz. Very well followed on Instagram with about 500,000 followers. Used to work closely with Nico Rosberg. He's responsible for getting Valtteri interested in photography. So Valtteri's now got this new passion where he takes a camera out and, like all of us, just takes lots of photos. We all start off ordinary, and hopefully with lots of photos, you improve. Here's Valtteri having a chat with Ziggo Sports' Jack Ploy, bit of a character in the paddock, and the two get on quite well. So hopefully you've learned a little bit more about this man. Born on the 28th of August 1989, married on the 11th of September 2016 to a girl he met in 2010. Yes, he loves coffee. He's got a dog called Fanny, and he is a fair driver at Mercedes-Benz, looking to put more pressure on Lewis, I'm sure, in 2020. Remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future YouTube videos. Comments, they're always appreciated. You can own any of my images at prostarpics.com. My blogs and podcasts, you'll find them on my website, kimillman.com, and pics live from the track on Instagram at Kim Illman. Thanks for watching, and stay passionate.